you start moving through the woods with nothing but a map and compass, you better know what you're doing. But what happens when you take away the compass and you rely on nothing but your map? Every year, thousands of search and rescue operations are conducted to return the injured, wounded, or lost. I'm Bill Stoker, and I'm on a mission to teach wilderness navigation and survival techniques so that you don't become a statistic. The time is now to master your craft. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, man. As always, it's good to see you. So Stoker here, and today, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna move through about a 10,000 acre section of property out here using nothing but a map, no compass, no cell phone, no GPS device, nothing but a map. And I'm not even gonna use a military topographical map. I am gonna use a print-off from the USGS, and this is just a screenshot from them, so I don't have as many details as I would on the military map. So as we get going, I need to do a couple things for you. First, I need to tell you, don't do this unless you know what you're doing, man, because I'm gonna head off and I have no idea what I'm gonna get myself into. I'm gonna rely on nothing but my ability to read a map. And if you can't do that, man, I'm telling you, over 2,000 search and rescue operations happen every single year. So continuing forward, man, if you want to master your craft, man, then get stoked and subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so you can stay up to date on some future content, right? And so I'm sure you can imagine all kinds of scenarios where skills like this may come into play. Whether you're off trying to do some hunting, you got a bug out location, a cabin off in the backcountry, you're trying to get off grid for whatever reason, you need to be able to know how to read a map, and more importantly, how to read the land. Through this video, you're gonna have 4 key takeaways. The first one, we're gonna talk about the 4 principles of land navigation, and then we're gonna move out and we're gonna talk about colors on a map, we're going to talk about terrain features on a map, and we're going to talk about distances and scales. And so as we get going, I'm going to take it over here to the car before we step off and grab my pack and put this compass up and my military map. You know, there are 4 fundamentals of land navigation. The first one is you need to know where you are. And I'm going to set this down. We'll take it to the map, and you'll be able to see on the map exactly where we are, because I know exactly where we're at. And that's the first step. You have to know where you are. There are 1,000 different ways, probably not 1,000. There are a ton of ways for you to know where you are in relationship to a map in time and space. And on the map, I'm sure you can see that I'm at this road, and it kind of bends around to the left, and it cuts off to my right here. So I can orient myself. And anytime that you're dealing with a map, I'm always going to caution you, and I'm actually going to turn this around. And because when you look down at a map and then you look up, I need you to be oriented to where you're at so that it makes sense. So you look down, you look up, and that's where things are going. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm looking at the map right where we're at, and I can see this cutting off to the left here, and this shooting back down to the right into that open clearing. So now that we know where we're at, we need to figure out where we're gonna go. And I wanna go up to this clearing that you can see in the next grid square up. And then I'm gonna go over to the grid square to the right, and then we're gonna work our way back down to where we're at right now, back to the car, so we can take it off back to the house and enjoy a cold one. We're done with step number 1, and that is to know where you're at. Step number 2 is we need to plan a route, which kind of just look at on the map what we're going to do and where we're going to go. Step number 3 is we need to stay on the route. And step number 4 is we need to recognize our objective. So we're going to do this with nothing but a map. And let me lock this bad boy up. And I'm going to stop along the way, and we'll discuss how I'm doing that and how you can learn to master your craft and be able to do the same. All right, let's get to this. All kinds of things, you know, forest and the woods can tell us about where we're at, about the history of the land and what's gone on before us. If we just take a minute, take a lifetime and learn how to recognize some of these things. And I think we might be getting to the first junction point up here. Show you on a map where we're at. Get up a little bit further to the northeast, and then we'll get this guy on a tripod. All right, so some of this is just a little thick. Oh man. Yeah, one wrong turn, fall down, twist your ankle. All right, well, now we made it through that little bit. I think we're just about to the point right up here where we can set this thing down. Even the old game trail that I'm on. Oh yeah. This is exactly what we needed right here. Here we go. So, you know, one of the first things I want to talk to you about was how to think about distance. Now, most of the time when people are doing land navigation or orienteering, you know, they're thinking about a 100-meter interval. And most of the time that's on flat land, and it's not realistic, except for training environments. So you got to think about a little bit more outside the box. Plus, you know, most of the time for distance, when it comes to keeping a pace count, nobody's keeping a pace on a dedicated azimuth for more than 600 to 800 meters, and that's for a good reason, because it can be extremely difficult to do so. Just like the stuff we just bushwhacked through, it's going to keep you on and off your direction or your line of travel. So you need to think a little bit more outside the box when it comes to knowing how far it is that you're moving. Now, for example, a 1 kilometer distance is about just over 3,000 feet, right? Probably pretty close to 3,300 feet. And then so 2 clicks is just over a mile, right? At 6,000 something 100 feet. So I know that for myself, if I'm on flat ground, I can do a mile. Well, man, if on decent ground with a 45-pound ruck, I can keep a 4-mile-an-hour pace. And so that means every mile I'm going to do in less than 15 minutes. But I know that, going over terrain like this, most people, they may be pushing it to do 20 minutes for a mile, which is closer to 3 miles an hour. And I know that, when it comes out here to bushwhacking, moving in a straight line more than 1 or 2 miles an hour, taking some rests, some short halts, some longer breaks, catch a little, let your muscles and hydrate up a little bit. I know that it's going to take about 1 or 2 miles an hour on average, especially if we're going up and down some terrain, having to go through some thick brush like we just did. So 1 click, it should not take me more though. 1 click should not take me more than 20 minutes, right? That's moving pretty slow, unless I'm being very intentional. Maybe conditions are where I got to worry about the nightfall, or I'm trying to really maintain close precision direction of travel. So I know, given a couple clicks like what we're doing right now, I'm trying to move out about 1,400 meters on this first leg, and that's a pretty good little stretch. So I know that it should take me probably 20, 25 minutes because I am wandering back and forth. Now if I go 30 minutes and I haven't reached my objective, man, there's something wrong and I need to stop. On the flip side, if I've only gone 5 minutes, 10 minutes, there's no chance I should already be there, right? And so as we come back and we start looking at the map, I know that we started right here at that corner of that bend right there, and we kind of moved off at a northeasterly direction from the car, and that was just based off of using the roads, and hit all this brush here, and now we have where it starts to dip down, which I can see right in front of me is starting to swoop down, you know, spurring down, and it comes up on the other side right over there, right? I can see all that right in here. I have this swooping down and then this coming up over here, so I can see I still have a ways to go, and so we're gonna keep moving, and we'll make it up over into that clearing and then stop again to talk about some colors. Well, I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I do know where I'm not, and that's where I'm trying to go. Because there's no chance that this clearing is the large one that I'm looking for on the map. And I'm gonna pull open this guy and we'll look at it here together. So I know, because I've only gone maybe 5 minutes since we stopped off last time. So I know just based off of distance alone, there's no chance I've made it down or back up to where I'm trying to get to for my first objective. And so I know one of a couple things. One, either this clearing, which was obviously done by man, by some engineers who came through, was done after the topographers with the USGS had done their thing and made their maps, or it's the smaller little white space right in here, and we're going to go over colors in a couple more stops. But it's possible that is where I'm at, and I'm going to guess that is where I'm at. And so I'm going to keep moving in a northerly direction, and I'm going to guess maybe 5 or 6 more minutes, and I'm going to be up at this clearing. Well, I picked up on an old game trail. It's pretty actively used. Got a lot of sign running all down up and through it, which would be good info if I was lost. But I'm going to turn this around because I at least know the general area for where I'm at based off of the elevation gain, and you'll be able to see this pretty soon looking up this hill. And I think we're going to follow the game trail to get up, because I think it's probably going to be the easiest path, the path of least resistance. Even though it may take me off course a little bit, I know it's probably gonna do me all right. Let's take a look at this. So it may not look like much up there, but that's probably to the crest as the crow flies, about 100 and so on yards, maybe 120 yards, and it looks to be at least 80 to 100 feet up here. So it is a little bit of a steep gain, which again, you know, we'll talk and look at contour lines, not at this next stop, but at the following stop. Let's get up here. Break off the trail here and just head on up. Whew. That's one of the reasons why you ain't moving on 4 miles an hour out through the back country. Yeah. So Take a knee just up here in the clearing, hydrate. We'll talk about some colors. All right. Man, oh man. I have to pull the old map out. All right, so this old print off is not a red light readable map. So that means I'm going to have my 5 primary colors, which you're going to find on a topographical map. It's black, white, red, green, brown, and black. Now, as we look at the map, I'll quickly show you whereabouts I think that we are up in this clearing right here. And we're going to talk about why colors are important. Because you can see the area directly in front of me is nothing but white. Now you see all this open clearing back here, that's all white on the map. So what does that mean? You know, white is typically not talked about in those 5 colors. In fact, we don't mention white at all. But we can see it's pretty important. So white is going to represent vegetation that has no military significance or importance. Typically, it's going to be stuff in the 3-foot level and down. So sagebrush, you know, tall prairie grass, golf course, things of this nature. These are all going to be white. So why that is important, as you can see, right where I'm at now is on the edge of a tree line, right? So on my map, I have a tree line. That tree line is in green with the white on the other side. Green on one side, white on the other, just like you can see with where we're at. So using nothing but colors, I can help understand a little bit more about where we're at. And again, because unless an area was recently cleared, what you see on the map is what you're going to find out in front of you. So if you see a hard angle, if you see a large open band, if you see a great big open area spreading out in front of you, and you can see that on the map like we can here or back where we started and are going to end at, you know pretty much where you're at. Right, and so for the rest of the colors, I think we all have a pretty good handle on it, right? So black and red are both man-made features or objects. It's just that red has more significance than things like highways or major cultural museums. Blue is going to indicate water. Green, vegetation of military significance. And again, that's vegetation over 3 feet, something that can provide concealment. And then last but not least is brown. And brown is going to indicate changes in elevation or relief in the topography around us. And then our next up, we're going to talk about how we can use these symbols on the map so we can understand a little bit more about the terrain around us. Between now and then, I'm going to take some more water. All right, so I think we made it to our final stop. I just booked it about another, well, it looks like it should be close to 1,000 meters. You know, we're all the way into that fallen grid square. And I got this little opening out here in front of me, and then we'll turn around and kick it back. And so now I wanted to talk to you about contour lines and relief and elevation, and what that actually looks like on a map compared to what we're gonna actually see in the world around us. Man, if you didn't know, so contour lines are super important, and you wanna make sure that you understand the interval in between each contour line, whether it's 20 feet or 20 meters, can make all the difference. The closer that contour lines are, the steeper it is. Now remember to when we were going up that steep hill. Now look at how close these contour lines are for where we were going up. Pretty steep, right? But out in front of us in all this white, there's nothing but flat prairie land, and that's why there's so much space in between the contour lines, is because there's not that much elevation change going on. And so how this is going to impact us moving forward is it's going to dictate A, lines of travel, B, how much time it's going to take to get from A to B, how much wear and tear it's going to have on our bodies, all kinds of variables that are going to come into play just based off of the size, shape, slope, and elevation of a given terrain feature. Got him out of here. So I do have some other videos out there that'll help peel the onion back, if you will, on the different terrain features that are out there, both the major and the minors, and how you can use your fist to figure those out. But what I want you to take away from this particular one is how to understand elevation change, whether something is going up or something is going down. It's super easy. But if we look at our map, man, we see all kinds of contour lines going east, west, north, south. Kind of looks like a plate of spaghetti noodles. And unless you understand and know how to read these lines, it can be extremely difficult to understand what is going up and what is going down. So where we'll focus our attention is right in this area where we've been moving. So we started off down here. We moved up here to this clearing, moved all the way across this clearing, over into this small one where we're at now, and then we're going to work our way back down. And we see all of these contour lines right in through here. And if I had to take a guess, this area in between was probably carved out by some runoff from Mount Rainier. But if I needed to understand which direction things are going, all I need to do is just kind of put my fingers down as such. And you can kind of see how these contour lines come around like this. That's a finger right there. So that automatically tells you what direction that elevation change is going. It's coming up and then going back down. Same thing over here. All I have to do is connect these. Just look for a V in contour lines. Just look for a V, and that's how you can figure out what the direction is. Look for a V and bam, go. Look for a V coming in, bam, go. Little V right here, bam. That's your elevation change. That's what that looks like right there. All right, man, so I hope that helped you out a little bit. Let me know if it did down in the comments below. We're gonna saddle up and we're gonna book it back towards the car. Got absolutely no idea moving back up in the same direction or not. You know, exactly the same direction. Could have been coming up on this side, a little bit different spot. In fact, I'm pretty sure I am. I don't recognize a thing. Just trying to find a way to get up. This is fern's pretty thick. I think it'd be pretty easy to step through something, sprain an ankle or injure a knee, run into a bear. I did tell y'all not to do this. Had I moved in the wrong direction for too far, I'd have been lost as sauce. I'd have been lost as sauce. Area, oh man, I see the car. And so even if I had not seen the glare on my windshield, I would have known that this is pretty close to where the car is because of another pretty amazing terrain feature that I'm sure you saw as we were looking at colors on a map. And I'm going to turn this guy around. We can see this wide open prairie, right? Man, you can't miss this. I mean, you could if you move in the exact opposite direction, which is why you got to be careful and don't venture off and don't do things you see me doing. But here you can even really see, the mountains further off, how much grayer of an appearance they gave. And you can't see a single lick on the trees, but you can see the nearer tree line down here. And of course I have this road that kind of cuts down through it. And so even if I didn't see the glare on the car, had I kept moving in the same direction, which we were, I would have hit this spot, and then I could have stopped and reassessed where I was at in relationship to the map, and kept moving on. Hey, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I look forward to it because I know a lot of y'all enjoy moving off through the brush, and we'll keep this conversation rolling. If you haven't already done so, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you can stay up to date on some future content. And right now, man, it's hydration time.